Hello, my name's Audrey Scanlan. I'm the Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Central Pennsylvania, and I'm coming to you this morning from my home. I'm actually taping this on the 17th of June to be released tomorrow, the 18th of June, on Friday. I thought that we could spend some time today talking about a celebration on Sunday that's coming up. On the 20th of June, we have World Refugee Day. And so in our diocese, we've had notifications and educational slides offered on social media throughout the week to make us aware of the plight of refugees and to educate us a little bit about the work that we're doing here in the United States and here in our own Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and in our diocese to aid refugees. So according to the United Nations Commissioner for Refugees, there are more than 60 million refugees or displaced persons worldwide. This is the largest number of refugees that the world has known since World War II. And so I think it would be helpful maybe to define what is a refugee. Well, refugees are people who live outside of the United States who have been forced to flee across an international boundary to seek protection in another country. The United Nations Refugee Agency says that if a refugee can't go home to their home country or stay in the country to which they have fled, they can be resettled to a third country, such as the United States. And so there are really three what they call durable solutions for refugees. The first is repatriation, which would be taking the refugee and when the time is appropriate and safe to resettle them in their own homeland. The second is integration, which is to settle the refugee in the country to which they have fled. And then the third option, of course, is resettlement, which would be to place the refugee in a third country, such as the United States. So when refugees arrive here, they are matched with they come here through a resettlement agency, such as Episcopal Migration Ministries, which is our own Episcopal resettlement agency, or Catholic Charities, which is the group with whom we have been working in our Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The United States resettles more refugees than any other resettlement country. And we do this working with various partners. We do this working with the International Organization for Migration, and we do it with a number of governmental bodies. So the Department of State, the Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Homeland Security, Congress, and then there are 9 different national resettlement agencies. Among them, of course, is Episcopal Migration Ministries. Every year, the Episcopal Migration Ministries provides a whole spectrum, really, of services beyond just resettling refugees. It includes finding them jobs, offering them intensive medical and mental health support, language services, getting them settled in homes, equipping them with household goods. That's a lot of the work that our churches do, is getting families oriented once they come here, providing them with kitchen goods, with educational supplies for their children, getting them acclimated into the community in which they've been placed. And so we might wonder, well, why? Why do we do this? What is the Christian, Judeo-Christian imperative for welcoming refugees to our country? And I would say that the first one is hospitality. That's a Judeo-Christian virtue that's exercised when we welcome and care for refugees. And we do this knowing that in our own Judeo-Christian heritage that we too were once a people displaced. We too wandered and fled persecution. And so we do this from a historic understanding of who we are in our own story, but also as an imperative that Scripture offers us. Let me share with you from the book of Leviticus. It says, "When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt." And of course, in Matthew, the 25th chapter of Matthew, we read, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." So these are ways that we can be grounded in Scripture with this value of hospitality. And I think that comes from an understanding that we are one. We are created in God's image. We are beautifully and wonderfully blessed in this world with diversity. And this diversity is something to be prized and valued. So when people come to our country, we don't talk really anymore about what we used to call the melting pot experience as much as we now talk about the salad bowl. So the melting pot in which everybody was expected to shed their national identity and become one. But the salad bowl metaphor is one in which everybody brings their own beauty, their own diversity, their own ingredients, if you will, to make for a rich and varied experience in our country. And so Christians united one with another are able to recognize and celebrate the diversity of different heritages, but also different religious traditions, and to reach out to our interfaith brothers and sisters, showing compassion for all of humankind. We do that, of course, in our tradition, grounded in the baptismal covenant, which calls for us to respect the dignity of every human being. In 1 Corinthians, Paul writes to us, "Just as a body, though one has many parts, but all its many parts form one body, so it is with Christ. For we were all baptized by one Spirit, so as to form one body. Whether Jews or Gentiles, slave or free, we were all given the one Spirit to drink. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but of many." And then, of course, in Galatians, we read, "For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor as yourself." And so these are just a few ideas as we prepare to celebrate World Refugee Day on June 20th to raise our awareness of refugees across the world, those living in our country who have been resettled, to offer compassion and care for them. Some of you may be using the prayers of the people that have been provided by Episcopal Migration Ministries for this Sunday. Let me close with one of the petitions from those prayers. This is from Alyssa Stebbing, who is the outreach director at Trinity Church in the Episcopal Diocese of Texas. She prays, "God of protection, whose son fled violence from his own home with Joseph and Mary and sought refuge in a foreign land, hear the cries of all who suffer because of hatred, war, violence, greed, and famine. Help us to peacefully mend our divisions, that all you have created in this world may be whole." And so, friends, until next week, may God bless you and guide you and keep you always.